Hey, everybody, and welcome back. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into a country music classic, Dolly Parton's Jolene.
Oh, yeah, one of the all-time greats.
But we're not just focusing on the song itself. We're going to be exploring whether Jolene gives us a peek into Dolly's real-life relationship with her husband, Carl Dean, who you might have heard just recently passed away.
Yeah, it is interesting timing, isn't it? With Carl Dean's death, it brings their relationship right back into the spotlight.
Right.
It makes you wonder how much truth there is behind those lyrics.
Totally. It's almost like we're being given a chance to look behind the curtain of this very private relationship.
Definitely.
So first things first. The news broke just a few days ago. Carl passed away at the age of 82 in Nashville. Dolly's publicist confirmed he died peacefully and that the family is planning a private ceremony.
Yeah, and Dolly released a statement saying, "Carl and I spent many wonderful years together. Words can't do justice to the love we shared for over 60 years.
Wow.
It's a reminder of how deep their connection was, especially since their lives were so different in the public eye.
Absolutely. I mean, you have Dolly, this global icon, larger than life.
Right.
And then you have Carl, who was famously private and chose to stay completely out of the spotlight.
Right.
It's almost hard to picture them together.
Yeah, it's a real study in contrasts.
It is.
And yet, they made it work for almost 6 decades.
Yeah.
I think that says a lot about their bond.
It really does.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's rewind a bit. They met back in 1964, the day Dolly moved to Nashville.
Wow.
She was just 18 years old, fresh off the bus, and bumped into Carl outside a wishy-washy laundromat.
Oh, wow. Talk about a meet cute.
Right.
It's like straight out of a country song.
I know, but Dolly has talked about how Carl stood out from all the other guys who were trying to chat her up that day.
Yeah, what did she say?
She said he was genuinely interested in her, and he actually looked at her face while they talked,
Oh, wow.
which she said was rare.
Interesting.
It makes you wonder if Carl saw something special in Dolly,
Yeah.
something beyond the glitz and glamour that would soon be all around her.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It is.
And I think it maybe speaks to their shared values.
Yeah.
You know, Dolly has always emphasized family, faith, and hard work.
Right.
Perhaps Carl recognized those qualities in her right from the start.
And just 2 years after that laundromat encounter, they got married
Wow.
in a small ceremony in Ringgold, Georgia.
Okay.
Even back then, they chose to keep things low-key,
Mm-hmm.
just family present.
That really set the tone for their whole relationship, didn't it? Carl seemed content to support Dolly from the sidelines,
Yeah.
letting her be the star while he lived that quieter, more private life.
Which makes you wonder how he felt about Jolene. You know, this song that's become an anthem for anyone who's ever felt jealous or insecure in a relationship.
Yeah, so powerful.
And Dolly has always said that it was inspired by a real-life encounter.
That's right. A flirtatious bank teller who caught Carl's eye shortly after they were married.
Yeah, Dolly even joked about Carl spending so much time at the bank.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Makes you wonder if there was some truth behind those playful lyrics.
For sure.
Did Carl really have a wandering eye? Or was Dolly just being a storyteller, you know, taking a real-life event and making it universal?
It's hard to say for sure.
It is.
But one thing's for sure, Jolene is a masterpiece when it comes to emotional songwriting.
It really is.
The vulnerability, the desperation, the pure honesty in the lyrics.
Yeah,
It's obvious why it has resonated with people for decades.
totally. And that leads us to a really important question.
Yeah.
Was Jolene actually a glimpse into their real lives?
Right.
Or just a really clever piece of art?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how Jolene captures this, like, universal fear, you know, the fear of losing someone you love.
Absolutely. And the way Dolly does it, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's vulnerable. It's a raw plea to Jolene to have mercy.
Right.
It really plays into those power dynamics you see sometimes in relationships.
Right. It's not angry. It's not a song where she's, like, you know, in Jolene's face.
Yeah.
It's almost like she's acknowledging Jolene's power, even pleading with her.
Yeah.
It kind of makes Jolene this mythical person, doesn't it?
It totally does. I mean, when you listen to those lyrics, Jolene becomes more than just a woman. She's
Yeah.
like a force of nature.
Right.
Dolly describes her beauty so vividly.
Oh, yeah.
Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green.
Wow.
She's captivating, she's alluring, she's everything the narrator, like, wishes she was.
Right. And maybe that's part of why people relate to the song so much.
Uh-huh.
You know, it touches on that feeling we've probably all had at some point, that worry that we're not enough.
Exactly. It gives a voice to those feelings, and it does it in a way that's honest, but also poetic.
Yeah.
It's not just about jealousy. It's about seeing your own vulnerabilities and realizing the power someone else can have over you.
Hmm. It makes me wonder, do you think Carl staying out of the public eye actually made Jolene have an even bigger impact?
Oh, that's interesting.
By never being seen with Dolly, he almost became a blank canvas for people to imagine who he was.
That is such a good point.
Right.
Because he becomes this phantom figure in the story.
Yeah.
We only know him through Dolly's eyes, through her fears and insecurities.
Right.
And that makes us, like, fill in the gaps ourselves with our own ideas.
So maybe keeping their relationship so private actually helped Dolly as an artist?
Oh, for sure.
It gave people space to connect with the song more personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By not telling everyone about their real-life dynamic, Dolly let listeners bring their own baggage into it.
Yeah.
Their own experiences, their own fears.
Right.
It turned Jolene into this huge, powerful song about love, loss, and how messy relationships can be.
And maybe it was Dolly's way of dealing with her own feelings, too.
Yeah.
Turning what might have been a problem into a song.
Right.
Almost like she was taking those feelings, working through them, and then moving on.
It's a really good strategy. She took something that could have caused problems
Yeah.
and turned it into art, something that millions of people connect with.
Exactly.
So, like, she took back her power through songwriting.
I like that. And it reminds us that everyone goes through these things.
Totally.
Even the most private people, feeling jealous, insecure, worried about losing someone you love.
Uh-huh.
It's all part of being human.
Exactly. So what makes Dolly Parton such a great artist?
Yeah.
She can take those shared experiences and make us feel seen, make us feel like someone gets us, even when we're at our most vulnerable.
Yeah. But here's something else to think about. We now know Carl was a big rock and roll fan.
Oh, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Dolly even said he was the inspiration behind her album Rockstar, which came out this year.
That's right. Didn't she include one of his favorite songs on it?
Yeah, My Blue Tears. And she also covered Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird and Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, which were apparently big hits with Carl.
Oh, wow. So we have this very private guy.
Right.
Who never wanted the spotlight.
Right.
And yet he had such a big influence on Dolly's music.
Yeah, it's like the two sides of their relationship, the public and the private, were always kind of feeding into each other.
That is so fascinating. It makes you wonder if Carl knew that his life, their relationship, was a part of Dolly's music.
Yeah, maybe he even saw it as a way to share their story on their own terms.
That's a good point.
A way to control the narrative and protect their relationship from the media.
Maybe Dolly was very careful about what she told the public.
Right.
She's really in control of her own story. And maybe Carl was like her secret partner in that.
That's a really nice thought. This very private man playing a part in shaping one of the most amazing careers in music.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that love doesn't have to be all over the place to be powerful.
Absolutely. It challenges what we think it means to be a supportive partner.
Yeah.
Carl's support wasn't about walking red carpets.
Right.
It was about making space for Dolly to be herself, to express her creativity, and to share her gift with everyone.
And maybe Jolene, whether it really happened or was just Dolly's imagination, represents that balance between their public life and their private life. It's a song that shows how complicated love and relationships are. But it also celebrates how strong their bond was.
It's a reminder that even really famous couples have their own ways of dealing with the ups and downs of love.
Yeah.
And sometimes the most amazing stories are the ones that happen behind closed doors.
Right.
Whispered between two people and then shared with everyone through music.
It's pretty amazing how much depth there is to Dolly and Carl's story.
Yeah.
It's easy to just focus on the glitz and glamour of Dolly's career. But what we've really found here is a love story that lasted for decades.
Right.
A true partnership built on respect and understanding each other's needs.
It's a good reminder that you don't need to be in the spotlight as a couple to have a strong relationship.
Totally.
Carl, staying out of the limelight, let Dolly shine while he gave her a solid base for her success.
And it seems like Dolly really valued that stability.
Oh, yeah.
In a world where relationships are so fragile, especially in the entertainment world,
Right.
Their commitment to each other is pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. Their story proves how important it is to find someone who supports your dreams,
Yeah.
but also respects your boundaries.
Yeah.
It's about being partners where each person can grow both as individuals and as a couple.
Thinking back to Jolene, I'm struck by how Dolly might have used her songwriting to deal with a tough situation.
Yeah.
Taking something that could have been a conflict and turning it into a powerful song. maybe even taking the sting out of whatever might have happened between them.
That's a good point. It shows Dolly's strength and her talent for turning her feelings into art.
Right.
It also suggests a lot of trust between her and Carl, being willing to face problems creatively.
And it makes you think how many other stories, how many other life experiences are hidden in Dolly's music.
Oh, totally.
Maybe Carl's influence is there in more songs than we know,
Yeah.
shaping her views and giving her inspiration in ways we don't even realize.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
And it shows how important the people are who support us behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Partners, family, friends who listen, who comfort us, or just are there for us quietly.
Yeah. Their story reminds us that love comes in many forms.
Uh,
It's not always about big displays or showing off.
right.
Sometimes it's about the quiet moments when you understand each other.
Yeah,
The unspoken support that lets two people blossom.
absolutely.
Yeah.
As we remember Carl Dean, let's remember him not just as the man behind Dolly Parton, but as a man who lived life his way,
Right.
who found love and happiness away from the spotlight, and whose quiet support touched the world through his wife's music.
So well said. And to everyone listening, next time you hear Jolene,
Or any Dolly Parton song, really.
yeah, think about the love story behind it, the partnership,
Right.
the quiet strength of a man who chose to walk beside a star while staying true to himself.
It reminds us that love comes in all forms, and sometimes the most incredible love stories are the ones that happen in private,
Yeah.
away from the cameras and lights,
Right.
leaving behind a legacy that lives on through music, memories, and in the hearts of those who felt their love.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the life and legacy of Carl Dean.
It was my pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another exciting look at the stories behind